Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Bull City Hangout 427. Very happy to have you here. I'm Pat Murray. I publish the Durham Skywriter, that's Durham, North Carolina's online community paper. And with the Bull City Hangout, I tell you what's happening today in Durham, North Carolina. And I'm going to start out with school tools. As you know, the Durham Skywriter is an online newspaper, durhamskywriter.com. Here's what the school tools page looks like. And what I'm going to do is very quickly run through the schools that are giving away food now for any young people aged 18 and under. Also, what they get, by the way, is bag, breakfast, and lunch. And then adults can go and they can get a non-perishable food supplies and also a family-sized casserole. How about that? So real quick, you only have until 12:30 to get to either Bethesda Elementary, Eno Valley Elementary, Githens Middle, R.N. Harris Elementary, Hillside High, Parkwood Elementary, or Sandy Ridge Elementary. And open right now from noon until 1:30. That's Burton Elementary, Lakeview School, Shepherd Middle, Southern High, and Southwest Elementary. Also on tomorrow, there are certain schools that are only doing the meal thing on Tuesdays and Fridays. So tomorrow from 11 to 12:30, Brogden Middle, and this is in addition to the schools I just mentioned. Okay, so Brogden Middle, Eastway Elementary, Glenn Elementary, Holt Elementary, Y.E. Smith Elementary, and C.C. Spalding Elementary. There you go. So rush out and take care of that. Also, let me see. Also on the school tools page, yes. Okay, so Grace Church of Durham, they're on Coal Mill Road. They have grab-and-go meals for kids on Tuesdays, actually Tuesdays and Thursdays. So tomorrow you have from 11:30 to 1:30 to get a free lunch, curbside for your kids at Grace Church of Durham. I think it's wonderful. Okay, also on the school tools page, Moorhead at Home. You know Moorhead Planetarium, of course, in Chapel Hill. They have a series called Moorhead at Home. These are live virtual events. Co-sponsored by not only the Moorhead Planetarium and Science Center, but also the North Carolina Science Festival, which is every year at this time. And I know they're disappointed that they had to curtail their activities, but they're making do by putting together some virtual online activities. So let's see, is there anything happening today? I thought there was something happening today. Tomorrow. I should tell you this today because this is tomorrow morning. Okay, so tomorrow morning from 10 to 10:30, we'll be sky watching vacation destinations in the solar system. You go on an imaginary voyage through the solar system. You make stops at various planets and you enjoy the sightseeing along the way. The link for joining to attend this special event can be found on the school tools page of the Durham Skywriter. Again, durhamskywriter.com. Let's go to the word page. That is the nonprofit and governmental page and see what's happening there. The American Red Cross has in-person and online classes. The in-person classes are still going on, apparently. I'm sure they have the students sit several feet apart. Wow. Dr. Nicole Price-Swiner is here, and let's see. This is like breaking news. Dun, 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 dun. So it says here, Karen Clark and I, and that's again Nicole Price-Swiner, we're doing an Instagram Live on Foxy 107, 104 to update on how COVID-19 is affecting us. It's going to be at 1 p.m. That's today, right after this show. Thank you. And actually, here is the link. After I make my announcements, I would welcome you to join me and tell us about that a little bit. You can join a person who's waiting in the wings, Robert Lewis, but you can join us as well. So let me just tell you real quick a few of the classes that you can take online only at the American Red Cross, because you can see the in-person classes on the Word page. But real quick, I'm just going to run through just a couple. Adult, child, and baby first aid, CPR, AED. They have advanced child care training, babysitting basics, bloodborne pathogens training for regular folks and also for tattoo artists. I guess they're not doing tattoos for now, but there you go. Also, first aid for opioid overdoses, first aid for severe bleeding, all kinds of classes, and they're super inexpensive. So check that out on the Word page. Okay, I don't know if Nicole's going to be able to join us, but you can click on that link and wait in the green room if you want to join us. Okay, real quick, let me go to the Senior Scope page, the page for people in my age group, age 55 and up. Oh, all I wanted to tell you about that is that the Durham, I shouldn't say all, this is great. The Durham Center for Senior Life has daily total body workouts to music. And of course, you can't go to the senior center, so they're bringing it to you. It's live on Facebook every morning, and the link for today's and one of last week's workouts can be actually found on the Senior Scope page. And you can join in and follow their lead, basically. Last but not least, let's see, let me go to the Garden Shed page real quick and tell you about Keep Durham Beautiful. They have a pollinator pocket seed giveaway. So you can go online. Actually, you can go to the Garden Shed page, click on the link, fill out the form, and they will mail to you sunflower seeds for your garden. And I think that's super wonderful. So be sure to do that by the deadline, which is Thursday. Okay, and let me go real quick to the Let's Go page. I think I had one item to list from the Let's Go page, real quick. Okay, 2 items. Okay, so let me just scroll down. Today is the 7th, right? Okay, there it is. So there's going to be a special. Whoa, do I have this right? I have 2 different things listed here. Oh, right. Okay. So a special city council virtual meeting is going to be held today. Dang. Oh, it already happened at 10. That's why I didn't have it listed on my sheet. Okay. I told you that. I told you about that on Saturday. But the Durham Board of County Commissioners meeting is tonight from 7 until 10. There's a link for you to click on to look at the agenda, and then you can actually watch directly from the Let's Go page. You can go to their website or the YouTube channel, or just go to the Let's Go page for Durham Skylight. And the last event is happening tomorrow, Loco Pop's Story Time with Amy Godfrey. That's going to be tomorrow from 10:30 until 11. Kids are invited to watch on Loco Pop's Facebook page, and of course the link can be found on Let's Go. And you can enjoy Miss Godfrey's enthusiastic storytelling style. Very quickly, the weather report, it's 61. It says partly sunny, but it's totally sunny right now. And it's beautiful. Going up to 66. Tomorrow, 75 and all sunny. So let us bring on, hey, Curtis is here too. Oh, Dr. Swiner says her hair isn't quite live stream ready yet. That's okay. So Curtis, you can join us if you like. The link is right there. Let's bring on Robert Lewis. He's in Texas, and he is a super duper expert on mortgages and real estate. Robert, welcome.
You're too kind. Thank you for having me, Miss Pat. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I enjoyed your live stream this morning where you showed your lovely neighborhood, and you were, what was that, Earl Grey tea you were enjoying?
Earl Grey, drink of champions. I enjoy a cup of Earl Grey every once in a while. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. So here's my question to you. We're going through tough times right now. Some of us are still working. Some of us are furloughed. Some of us are seeking new opportunities. So is this now a time to even consider buying a house or building?
That's a question that I'm getting a lot. And not that I don't want to just give you a concrete answer, but I'm going to answer this way, Miss Pat. It's always an excellent time to buy if you're ready to purchase.
Okay. And how do you know when you're ready?
Well, and I'm going to get into that, but let me give a little context to what I'm saying.
Okay.
If you go back, and I know you're a student, and and a lot of us folks that are my age or a little younger don't read a lot, right? We don't have a lot of context. So if you go back, and let's go back to the Great Depression and come forward, housing is a basic need, right? It's shelter. It's a basic need. So I I would say it's a great time, again, for you to own a property if that's something that you would aspire to do and you
Mm-hmm.
can afford it. To your point or to your
Okay.
question, how do you know when you're ready? Affordability, meaning
Mm-hmm.
you've been someone that has saved some money, in my humble opinion. You have some reserves and you have a good handle on your finances. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
And good credit rating, I guess. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and that goes into the actual getting approved for a loan if you're gonna,
Mm-hmm.
apply for financing. But
Mm-hmm.
when I say handle on your financing, your job is stable. Okay,
Mm-hmm. You're
you
paying your
alluded to
bills on time.
paying your bills on time. Good credit rating, things of that nature. So that's what I mean when I say, you have a handle on your finances. You know your numbers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to speak for the people who were in my position when I was in Chicago. I never really had a high paying job.
Hmm.
And I decided, I was renting, and I decided when my rent went up to 550. Now, that sounds like nothing now, but that was back in the 90s.
Right,
But I
right.
told myself, when my rent goes up to 550, I'm going to look for, I wanted a building. I didn't want just a house because I was born in Woodlawn, and in Woodlawn,
Okay.
there's a lot of two flats or duplexes. And because it's a low income area, and because I didn't make a lot of money, I thought that was a good match. I grew up in Chatham, which was a middle class area. I knew I couldn't afford Chatham as a single person. No, no way. So I knew that I could go back to Woodlawn and buy something there. Now I'm speaking up for those of us who don't make a lot of money. Um, I was really disciplined with my spending.
Hmm.
I didn't have a lot of crazy spending habits. And when I did um, contact a real estate agent who asked me, now I was very naive. This was my first time even thinking about buying something. And she said, do you have any debt? And I said, yeah, I do. So I had $600. And she's cracked up. She started laughing. I was like, what's so funny? That's a lot of money.
Right.
She said debt, at least in real estate, and you can clarify this. She said in real estate, debt is something that you can't pay off within 1 year. That's what's considered debt. She says you don't have any debt. She says 600 is nothing. So that was
Well,
cool. What do you say about that?
what I would say to that is, and you hit exactly what I was saying when you asked the question, are you ready? You said you were very disciplined, right?
Mm-hmm.
More importantly, you knew what that line in the sand was for you as far as rent is concerned. Hey, once rent hits this place,
Mm-hmm.
I need to own, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know your numbers. And then you talk about your credit. You really understood, and to you, $600 was a lot. And debt is relative, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
relative term. To some people, as a joke. To others, that's a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
To what the agent was saying to you at the time, in underwriting terms for loans, of when loans are concerned, anytime you have a debt that could be paid back typically within 10 months or less,
Mm-hmm.
then a lot of times we won't use that or count that against your debt to income ratio, uh,
Okay.
if everything else looks good. So I think that was your question. I kind of went around the block, but
Yeah. No, no, I'm
yeah.
glad you said that because I thought it was kind of funny because she was so amused. I guess she had dealt, especially dealing in low income areas, I guess she had dealt with so many people who really did have serious debt.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I guess she
Well,
thought my situation was amusing, I guess.
and compared to probably to her situation, right? But
Mm-hmm.
to you, it was a lot. So I've heard you say this a couple of times. I'm the people's champ. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I came from humble beginnings as well,
Mm-hmm.
and the point is this. Back to what I was saying before. I look at housing as shelter,
Mm-hmm.
and regardless of a two flat, 10,000 square feet, a
Mm-hmm.
condo, that's your home.
Right.
Okay. And home is where the heart is. So doesn't matter the type of housing. What's more important is a lot of us get so excited about getting the home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from the school of keeping the home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can do a lot of things and go through a lot of machinations to get in the home, but
Mm-hmm.
do you have the foundation? are you prepared to maintain said property so that it will be a blessing to you going forward in the future, if that makes sense.
Okay. And I hope I didn't give you the wrong impression when I said I wanted to speak for the folks not making a lot of money.
You did.
All I was really trying to do was to get people who are low income to say, oh, well, maybe I should continue listening.
I just said that. I said that for those that might be listening, because I know you and I know one another, and I know that's not what you're putting out there, but I want to encourage them as well that you too can become a homeowner. And before we get off, I want to give you guys some resources in your neighborhood for you to look into for those people that might feel like I can't buy.
Okay. Okay, cool. Did you want to give those resources now, or?
We can, it's up to you. This is your show, but if you look in your private chat, I have a website that I think your folks would appreciate, and
okay. Let me
just kind of speak to that a little bit.
Let me grab my trackpad on my laptop doesn't work, so let me just grab this external one and see if I can copy that and put it in the chat real quick.
Okay.
And Bri Davis is waiting. Let me just copy this real quick.
And what the link is, and if it's too hard for you, Miss Pat, before I get off, okay, perfect. But it's just the Housing Finance Agency of North Carolina.
Oh, okay? Cool. Okay.
And it the whole concept or premise of the agency is to help people that fall under a certain income limitations. Good morning.
Okay. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning.
How are you?
Pretty good. I saw the link in the Durham Creatives and wanted to check out, and obviously came in on a great conversation. So
awesome. Do you know anything about real estate, or have anything to say about real estate, or do you want to promote yourself as a creative?
All of the above. I know a little bit about it. I would like to be a first-time home buyer. I just saw an article, a few minutes ago about the 30-40% potential decrease in homes in the next few months due to this pandemic. The possibility of someone owning a home now, like myself, would be higher than maybe last year. So my goal is to find out as much information. I'm also doing creative. I've been around for a number of years in social media, and I'm working on a documentary now.
Wow.
So you're a filmmaker?
Yeah, I'm an emerging filmmaker, artist, a creative. My goal is to finish this short, which will be my very first on Zora Neale Hurston and her 1 year spent in Durham. So, my goal really, when I got here, I didn't know about all the history and how the connection was. So just wanting to own property in Durham is something that I look forward to. So thank you, Robert, for the information, and for you, Ms. Pat.
Absolutely. Yeah. And let's talk some more about your filmmaking as well, because I'd love to just interview you just on TV Skywriter, which is my formal interview show. And and maybe even show the trailer, if you have a trailer yet.
Yes, I do. I was awarded a Durham Arts Council Emerging Artist Grant this year, which helped me put that together.
I was wondering why your name looked familiar. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I've been around here and there.
Okay, awesome. Very nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Thank you, and thank you for posting. Thank you for posting.
Oh, absolutely. I posted that in Durham Creatives because I know eventually somebody was going to come over. And what I do, the Durham Skywriter, it's a community paper, but with my TV Skywriter, I like to. I've had musicians to perform live, and artists to show their screen share their art, and I'm just into promoting people. That's what I do.
Awesome.
That's what I do. So continue to watch and learn, because Robert's gonna probably throw down and give us a whole lot of information. So
if I may, before she leaves, Ms. Pat, being that you're a creator, not trying to get it all in your business, but just from a 10,000 foot view, if you're looking to purchase, I'm assuming you're an independent contractor, business for self. And if that's the case, taxes are very important. Now, we've had an extension to the deadline for this year, but the test is the most recent 2 years of your taxes. And a lot of times as self-employed people, if your tax preparer or yourself is doing their job, you're trying to limit that taxable income. Well, that could come back and bite you, because from a lending standpoint, I'm qualifying you based upon your taxable income. So a great place for you to start, back to knowing your numbers, I want you to pull out 18 and 19's tax returns, and we have to have a 2-year threshold of taxes being filed, okay? And then you're looking at your taxable income. So long and short, last year, if you only claimed $10,000 because you could and you don't want to pay those taxes, well, from a lending standpoint, it looks like you only made $10,000 to me. You follow me? So for any self-employed people out here, very important to look at your taxes and get with your trusted advisor so that they can advise you going forward, because this year has not been filed yet, and you may be able to claim more money because you want to buy a home, and have to deal with those tax consequences because we have to average it over a 2-year period. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense, yes. And I would have probably had more ambition to purchase next year. So that just helps me figure out a little bit more of a timeline.
And check out the website if you're in the community that Ms. Pat just dropped, because there's down payment assistance programs out. And now's a great time to start preparing. I like to have folks prepare 6 to 9 months out. Okay. So want to start with your credit report, annualcreditreport.com. Okay. Free credit report. You got to know what's on it. And if there's work that needs to be done, now's the time to do it. Right. Absolutely. Then from there, your taxes. And lastly, I'll hush after this. You'll hear a lot of stuff online about housing coming down, or deflation, or values of homes coming down. I professionally don't see that, because this slowdown, this recession is a health issue. Back in 8, 9, and 10, it was caused by the housing market, right? So there's been a shortage of housing, and that's why we're seeing the increases in pricing, right? So said all that to say, you want to get with a local professional that really knows the market. How do you find that person? I'll look online. Look for the folks that are showing up now. Not when everything was good and they keep showing themselves at the title company. Not those folks, right? But the folks that are out now educating and really know your local market, and then they will really be able to put you on the pulse of prices in said market. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. I wanted to add something. This is for when people are at the point where they're actually looking at homes. But one thing that I learned that some people don't do, and they let themselves down, they get depressed, and sometimes they overspend because they don't get, I got pre-qualified because I knew that my income was pretty low. So I didn't want to be looking at, these like Peel Hill mansions, and Peel Hill's like a rich black area in Chicago. I knew not to even set foot in Peel Hill. So I got pre-qualified, and I knew that Woodlawn was going to be my community because it's working class, low income, whatever, and still, pretty good. And I really lucked out. My limit, you're going to laugh. You know what my limit was? You know how much I paid for my building? Are you sitting down?
Yeah, we're sitting down.
$55,000.
Yeah, that was back in the day, Miss Pat.
1991. That's still, that was, to me,
all good.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Even though now the same building would have been $300,000 back then in the neighborhood next door, which is the University of Chicago neighborhood, Hyde Park.
That's how I got now. Yeah.
But another thing I wanted to ask you, Robert, because when people say there's no homes available or the housing market is real tight, I guess because I'm mostly in working class, lower middle class type areas, I see plenty of homes that are up for grabs. When people say things like the housing market is tight, are they usually talking about fancy neighborhoods and the places where everybody supposedly wants to be?
I'll answer the question this way. My dad used to tell me all the time, follow the money, right? And at the end of the day, news is to be checked, not watched. And you have to understand the profit. News channels, TV channels, they make their money by advertising. Okay. So you just said it. There's houses everywhere. But if you listen to CNBC and whoever, they'll tell you there's a shortage. Now, you got to let your eyeballs lead you sometimes. Now, with that said, there is a problem, an affordability problem because of shortage of homes, because there's really more people than homes and people that can qualify. There's really a credit epidemic, especially in our community. Okay. I help everybody, but folks that look like us, we got to get our credit together. And because of the credit barrier, then affordability is an issue. Second thing, down payment assistance, or the cost to get into a home. So that's why I put the link in, because there's monies available right in your neighborhood for folks that fall under a certain income bracket, the annual or area median income for certain counties. And so if you look at that website, Ms. Davis, great resource while you're preparing yourself. And I'll put my information, or I'll give it to Ms. Pat to put in
that'd be great
for future reference. But if you ever want to reach out to me, you could do so, and we'll help you along that path. But that's what I think is going on when you hear all this rhetoric online. They're selling ads.
Okay. Now, I can't remember the name of the program I signed up with, but there was a program that I signed up with that allowed me to get this building. I only had to pay $1,000 closing fee, and my mom was alive then. She helped me out with that, which was beautiful. But I can't remember what it was called. It's for low-income people who are trying to buy homes.
There's a lot of.
It's an acronym.
FHA loan.
That's it.
And so FHA loans have been around forever, and people don't realize that's a first-time home buyer's loan because it only requires 3.5%. That's the minimum down payment. But also on the conventional side now, a lot of folks don't know that if you're a first-time home buyer, which by definition means anyone who has not had ownership interest in real estate in the past 3 years. Okay. So that makes you a first-time home buyer. And now Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, everybody's heard of those folks, but they offer low down payment conventional loans with as little as 3% down if you're a first-time home buyer. So in
my case, I didn't have to pay. I just $1,000.
Well, because a lot of people don't realize, in your case, and I run into them all the time. If you have a good agent, right, and the sellers, and this time folks might be a little more motivated to sell on an FHA loan.
They were very motivated. They just wanted to get the heck out of there because they were building a fancy house out in the suburbs. They just wanted to just get rid of it.
So sellers can contribute up to 6% of your closing cost, right? So
the seller
on an FHA loan, right? So if you got $100,000 purchase price, right? You as the buyer are responsible for $3,500, 3.5%. Okay. Now that 3.5% could come from you. It could come from mom and them. That's called a gift, right? It could come from a third party source like the housing agency that I just gave you the link for, right? As down payment assistance. So that money doesn't necessarily have to come from you. Then the seller can contribute up to $6,000 on that same transaction. So a lot of times with our clients, you have to put down what's called earnest money. That lets everybody know you're serious. And just for an example, say that's $1,000. And if you're able to get the seller to contribute and that amount exceeds your down payment and closing costs, a lot of times our folks get the $1,000 back, because a major problem, and this is something COVID has exposed, the average American family only has about $400 in the bank. And so when life happens, see, I want you to have more money in your pocket because life's going to happen, right, ladies? And so when that happens, you need to have cash flow to handle things.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Wow.
Yeah.
So, Bri Davis, what are you thinking about in terms of next year? What do you think you're going to do?
I've been through, a wealth of education. I think it's more just action and opportunity,
Okay.
um, and trying to find an area that I'd like to live in,
Awesome.
ultimately.
Now, this is a whole different city. This is Durham. And again, I'm from Chicago. But what I used to tell young folks in Chicago, if you're going to buy a house, buy two. Because it was wonderful. I actually got laid off while living in Woodlawn, and that was rough. But my tenants were paying most of my mortgage. So part-time work, I was able to get by. So I always tell young folks, if you can afford one, just get. That's just my opinion.
So,
I mean, we
wait
don't
a
have
minute.
so many duplexes here in Durham, but my thing is, it's nice to have tenants.
Wait a minute,
I was
Miss Pat. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You go, Miss Bree. Go ahead.
I was in the process of educating myself. I was understanding more about rural loans in the areas outside of the county, and Hillsborough and even Apex. I think in certain
Oh,
spaces. So my goal, again, is to take advantage of the current opportunity as a artist. I'm also a contractor, so I contract as well, research
okay.
projects. And a number of things outside of that to generate income. I have a son as well. So the goal
Nice.
right now is um, to look into more rural areas, and that's where I'd probably be more focused this go around and researching.
Now that's interesting.
And she's mentioning the USDA loan. That's the
Hmm.
rural loan program. So there's FHA, VA, conventional, and USDA. The beauty about USDA is if you've never served in the military, one of the best benefits that military folks have is the certificate of eligibility that allows them to finance 100% of a purchase price. Well,
Hmm.
USDA allows that for regular folks as long as you fall within the income guidelines for the county. That's what she's speaking to. So
Okay.
a lot of times too, and I just dropped this link, Miss Pat, if you want to put it in.
Yeah, put
It's
it
just
in.
it's the USDA eligibility website.
Hmm.
And I said all that to say, Ms. Davis, there's in a lot of cities, there's still USDA eligible areas in the city.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
And so,
Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah, you could possibly get 100% financing in those areas as well. You just put the address in and it'll tell you if the house is in the area or not.
it's interesting because Durham, even though it's becoming, a pretty good sized city, there's a lot of areas that are really rural still. And then
Mhm.
there's those, what do you call them? They're like the townships, like
Hmm.
the Hama and Parkwood and not Parkwood. Oh yeah, I think Parkwood. There's like three or four, and they're really different from the rest of the city. They're very interesting. And I
Yep.
know some people who live off of Cornwallis. I mean, it was like being out in the country. In fact, I got lost coming home from a friend's house out there on Cornwallis somewhere,
Hmm.
and I ended up on a street where they had buffalo in their
Wow.
yard. I was like, "Where am I?" I'd never seen buffalo.
Buffalo. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're very well informed, Ms. Davis, and that's exciting. That's good. And so, like you said, when opportunity, and that's me and Miss Pat were talking about that earlier. I can't tell you when to buy a house, right? You got to know that.
Gotta
But
know.
yeah, but the things that you're doing, and that's what we encourage everybody to do. Don't go run out to a real estate agent. No disrespect to the agents. If you don't have cash to pay, you need to come see somebody like me first, right? Can you get the money? You know what I mean? And
Right.
even before you come to somebody like myself, there's a ton of information online. And so, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, the CFPB, okay, these are all government agencies.
Oh.
You could go and get a lot of information and educate yourself on things to know just enough. And then again, look to your social media, look for those people that are coming on educating and find who you resonate with, you know. And then once you make a decision on your team, stick with your team because uh, a lot of people get hurt because you'll hear something here, or you'll hear a friend say, "Man, I got a 1% interest rate." Well, show me your closing disclosure. You know what I'm saying? because you know how we like to one up one another. So impressed with you. Impressed.
Do you think a trigger is needed? My trigger was actually I had two triggers. My trigger for moving, for getting going, was my rent going up to $550. My other trigger was the beginning of the Gulf War, when they were being more lenient towards people wanting to purchase properties for the first time. And that I realized now's the time to pounce, because the interest rates were the best right then, right when the war started. For whatever reason, I don't understand how markets work. So should there be a trigger? I mean, can you think of, now, you look around what's happening out in the world now. I know COVID-19 is number one topic all over the world. Should there be some kind of a trigger we look for when thinking about getting going?
Well, I mean, interest rates are a great trigger, right? And they're lower now than they were back in the 90s, okay? So the question is how long, and not to turn this into economics class.
No, this is good. This is good. Shoot.
Yeah, but that's a great trigger. But just like Ms. Davis is saying, are you ready? Are you ready to take advantage of that opportunity? So the flip side to that is, unlike your example back in the Gulf War, guidelines are actually tightening up now because an unintended consequence of COVID-19, servicers, if you ever had a mortgage, that's just a place where you make your payment, okay? Well, because of the CARES Act, which allows folks to not have to pay their mortgage payment if they've been affected, well, long story short, the servicer has to make that payment. So as a result, they're tightening up a lot on minimum credit scores and debt to income ratios, because they have to deal with the folks that are already in the pool, but they want to limit future. So again, that's why I'm back to the fundamentals. If our credit is always good, right? If we handle our money correctly, if we know our numbers, like Ms. Davis is saying, and we educate ourselves, when opportunity meets preparation, you know what I'm saying? We're going to win.
I like that. I like that a lot. So, Robert, actually, you can actually do this after we leave the airwaves, but you feel free to enter your information. I don't know if you welcome people to reach out and ask questions if they're not in Texas.
Yeah, we land in all 50 states, and I dropped my link tree in the private chat. So
let me grab that real quick.
Yeah, anybody want to reach out and have a conversation? I will say this: I'm not for everybody. Okay, I'm the guy that'll tell you you're not ready. So if you got a problem with that, don't call me, because we tell the truth around here. But if I'm your kind of guy, if you like to be educated, I like to teach.
For some reason, so the link is on Facebook, but YouTube did not accept it. But you can see it on Facebook.
Yeah, that's my
watching the replay.
And if you just search Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, if you search for Lend2 USA, that's us. That's me.
Okay, and I love how you just come on sometimes on Facebook and just drop knowledge just without warning.
I appreciate that.
So I guess we need to follow you on Facebook as well, because who knows when you're going to be on camera next time with he just shares knowledge just like at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, I'm not as polished as you and Ms. Davis. I'm not a creator, so I'm trying.
You're very polished.
I'm trying.
Very polished.
And thank you, Monica, for that. Thank you. So this is wonderful. I really appreciate both of you coming on the show. Robert, you're always welcome to talk, because actually I had more questions, but I didn't want to drag this out. But I welcome you to come back whenever you like. And Bri, I definitely want to hear from you. I mean, I don't know too many filmmakers. I'm a fledgling documentarian. I make what I call micro documentaries, and I love it. So I'd love to have you on and talk about your career and your films. Maybe watch your trailer.
Yeah,
I'd enjoy that. I'd enjoy that.
Exciting.
Yeah, and it's coming. Your film's coming out. You said, did you say next year or did I miss that?
No, you know what? My goal is next year,
Okay.
and my goal really is to premiere at the Hayti Film Festival just because of the significance of
Ooh.
it. So I just put
Okay.
that out there. Hopefully, one of these years I'll be able to have a finished product. But it is a short, and we're wrapping it up. I just want some other, you know, as a creative, it just
Understand.
has to be, you know, it has to the recipe has to taste well. So that's where I am.
That's your
Are,
baby.
are,
Yeah.
are you a one-person operation or do you have a team?
I have a team. For a number of years, I worked as a social media expert and have hired folks in graphics and illustration. I'm working now with an illustrator, a good friend of mine in Italy, and she's coming together with beautiful portraits and paintings of where I want to take this story. So I'm working and it's an experimental documentary. So the goal is to try to develop it as organically and creatively as possible. So
Wow, that
there
is
is a team, and we're building. Executive producer, a good friend of mine, is helping me figure that out. His name is Chris Everett with Wilmington on Fire. I'm not sure. He's been a
okay.
great coach and helping me navigate the new films. But he has Wilmington on Fire and a few other
Okay, I
joint
definitely heard of that
documentaries
for
helping me.
sure. So do
Yeah.
you have other films? I mean, like, do you have a YouTube channel where we can see your work, or how can we
No,
follow
you
you?
know, I'm an emerging filmmaker. I haven't, you know, I've spent a lot of time working on my personality as far as the Bri Davis, social entrepreneur and all those things. I likely, you know, I have an Instagram page where you can view the trailer, but I'm a recluse for the most part when I'm in the creative stage. So I took everything down so that I can devote the time to building and then relaunching. So
I got you.
formal websites and all that, but I have a presence still on social media with Facebook, um, my personal page and then Instagram, of course, and LinkedIn and Twitter. So I've been around for a while. Um,
Nice. So definitely stay in contact. Robert?
Put this one in the archives when she blows up. I want to. I'm on here with her. I'm on here
oh,
with
you
you
Okay.
helping me
both.
get the house? We in the house.
There you go.
Look, say less, say less. I just want to put it down. I'm on here with Miss Davis before she blow up.
I can't wait. And
Yeah.
Monica, if you ever want to come on, that would be awesome. I'm actually going to shut this down. I really had a wonderful time. And thank you, Robert. Thank you, Bree, for joining me. This is why I do Bull City Hangout, sharing information, hanging out. A lot of people are, at this point of the crisis, a lot of people are running out of gas, basically. You know, and I'm just trying to give people an opportunity to just come on and just hang out, and at least spend a few minutes, you know, not sitting and worrying and fretting over numbers and that sort of thing. Because I know it's rough for a lot of people, you know. And if this had happened 2 years ago, I would have been absolutely despondent because of my situation. But things are a little better for me. It doesn't take much to, you know what I mean? I mean, you could be at the top of the world, and it doesn't take much to crash. And on the other hand, I've seen people at what we call the bottom, and they rise right on up in record time.
Yes,
So you just got to stay focused and stay positive. And don't be afraid to ask for help when needed. I'm just saying,
definitely.
yeah, because people are out here wanting to help. You just have to, you know what? It's what's really funny. A friend of mine, he's Muslim, and he says Muslims when a Muslim helps someone, I mean, it's nice to help people regardless, but it's a blessing when you allow someone to help you because that's their blessing. So it's like if you think you're being a burden and you don't want to ask someone for help, you're actually taking away from their blessings.
Mm.
So, and I think that's a Christian concept as well. It's just not stated in the same way, you know. But yeah, allow people. I mean, if you actually need help and you know someone can help you, allow them to help you. They might be waiting for you to step forward, ask for that help, and we can help each other.
Amen.
So there you go. With that, have a beautiful day,
Blessings.
and I will definitely see you all later.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a blessed
Absolutely.
one.
All right. So Robert, I'll see you later. Let's
Yes, ma'am.
see. And then Bree, I'll see you later. There you go. And let me put my trackpad up. That was fun. That was really fun. So if you want to join me on a future show, be sure to do that. I do this every day. It's called Bull City Hangout. Obviously, you don't have to be in or from Durham to be on the show, but basically I share information about what's happening in the Bull City, and then I invite you on to hang out with me afterwards. So have a good day, and I will see you tomorrow. Ciao for now.